A manhunt for a killer police call armed and dangerous after a tech CEO is found dead in her apartment building.
This individual will kill and he will rape.
What we know about the brutal murder and why police think the suspect could strike again.
He will do anything he can to cause harm.
Heavy hearts in Baltimore tonight. Former Orioles legend Brooks Robinson has passed away. The tributes from the team and fans. Nearly 2 months later and still no arrests in the murder of a Bel Air mother.
Now starting to lose a little bit of hope.
How the family is helping police speed up the investigation. Then limiting where legal gun owners can carry.
This was a mistake.
New tonight, we examine if this should be a priority amid massive spikes in crime. And legal experts break down the dangers this law could create.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 10.
We're following two major breaking stories tonight. A manhunt is underway right now for a man accused of brutally murdering a woman inside of her apartment in downtown Baltimore.
Police say he is armed and dangerous, warning anybody who might see him to stay away.
This individual will kill and he will rape. He will do anything he can to cause harm.
And also breaking tonight, heavy hearts in Baltimore as Orioles legend Brooks Robinson has died at the age of 86.
The Orioles held a moment of silence to honor the Hall of Famer before tonight's game. Fans are invited to visit his statue inside Oriole Park to remember him tomorrow through Sunday.
Robinson spent his entire 22-year career in Baltimore. Morgan Adsit will join us in a few moments with reaction as the community remembers one of the Orioles' all-time greats.
Good evening, I'm Kai Jackson.
And I'm Mary Bubala. We begin, though, with that all-out manhunt for 32-year-old Jason Billingsley. He is accused of killing a 26-year-old rising star in the tech world.
Now, Acting Baltimore Police Commissioner Rich Worley shares a message for the suspect, who police say is a repeat violent offender and may strike again.
I just have a message for Jason Billingsley. If you're out there watching, hopefully you are. Every single police officer in Baltimore City, the state of Maryland, as well as the U.S. Marshals are looking for you. We will find you, so I would ask you to turn yourself in to any officer, any police station, because we will take you into custody eventually, and then we will turn it over to the state's attorney to prosecute you to the fullest. So please turn yourself in.
Tonight, we have team coverage of this gruesome crime and the manhunt. Mackenzie Frost looks into the strong language from city leaders during today's announcement.
But we begin with Keith Daniels and the latest in the investigation. Keith?
Well, Mary and Kai, the mayor and acting police commissioner today addressing two gripping homicides in the city. The murder of a 15-year-old boy yesterday, and also a murder yesterday involving the young tech CEO. Both of them killed yesterday, and tonight, the hunt for both killers. Baltimore City Police at an afternoon news conference with a critical update. They have identified a suspect in the murder of Pava Lapierre, the 26-year-old Baltimore tech entrepreneur.
We have a warrant issued for the killing of Miss Lapierre.
Tonight, the search is on for this man. Look at the photo. It's 32-year-old Jason Billingsley, accused in Lapierre's killing. Police say they believe he may still be in Baltimore.
This individual will kill and he will rape. He will do anything he can to cause harm. So please be aware of your surroundings.
Police found Lapierre's body at an apartment building on West Franklin Street near downtown Baltimore late Monday morning with signs of blunt force trauma. The medical examiner's office has not released a cause of death. Police found her body within hours after she was reported missing. Mayor Brandon Scott and investigators releasing few details about the case, including how police identified Billingsley as a suspect.
What matters is that we had someone kill another person in a brutal way that we have to get off the streets before it's done again to someone else. That's all that matters today.
Our Warrant Apprehension Task Force, alongside the U.S. Marshals Capital Area Fugitive Task Force, is actively working to apprehend Billingsley. At this time, we believe and we know he probably is armed and dangerous.
Lapierre was the founder and CEO of EcoMap, an online resource for companies to, among other things, find investors. Dalali Jaraza, founder and CEO of Fearless, a software development and digital services company, said he found out about Lapierre's death while preparing to deliver a keynote address at a conference. But his attention,
Papa was such a force.
Truly disturbed with news of his friend's death.
She was determined. She was passionate. She was a force. And one of those folks, when she was in a room, you knew she was in the room, but not in a way in which she was belittling anybody or making it seem like she was above people. She was kind. She was compassionate.
Well, police say if you have any contact or come in contact with Billingsley or know any information about this case, call 911. We're live tonight. Keith Daniels, Fox 45 News.
All right, Keith, thank you. Continuing our live team coverage, Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost is in studio with us right now. Mackenzie, you were at the news conference today. What is your biggest takeaway?
Well, Mary, there was a few different things, but I think really the strongest and perhaps the most sobering message came from BPD Acting Commissioner Worley about the danger that this suspect poses to the community right now.
He will do anything he can to cause harm. So please be aware of your surroundings. Every single police officer in Baltimore City, the state of Maryland, as well as the U.S. Marshals are looking for you. We will find you.
These strong words from Morley specifically come at a critical and crucial time for him professionally. His full confirmation vote is set for next week, and tomorrow he will face more tough questions from the city council during another hearing about Brooklyn Day, the mass shooting that took place in July at Brooklyn Homes, where BPD's own internal report showed officer indifference when members of the community started calling 911 concerned about people who were there with guns and other weapons. Police ended up not showing up until after the shots were fired, leaving 28 people injured and 2 others dead.
And Mackenzie, I noticed the mayor seemed to be frustrated with the justice system today and the fact that the suspect was released from prison early. Tell us more about some of his frustrations.
Yeah, and it wasn't exactly clear who exactly the mayor was talking about, but we know there have been concerns raised about plea deals from the state's attorney's office in the past. Jason Billingsley has a lengthy rap sheet, and according to court records, he was sentenced in February 2015 for a first-degree sex offense that took place in 2013. Part of that plea deal during Mosby's newly minted administration, Billingsley was sentenced to 30 years with 16 suspended. He was actually released in October of last year after serving about 7.5 years in prison.
When the police go out
June, and it's effective in July or maybe October, the wake of victims is going to be tremendous.
If we don't do something to hold these young people accountable, they will continue to run and almost have lawlessness in our cities, and we can't have that.
County executives are sounding the alarm on juvenile crime as well.
The fact that you intended to do something to help kids is irrelevant. They're dying. They're dying because of the votes that we took, the policies that we pushed forward. It's time to reverse course and do a gut check and do the right thing.
Fox 45 News is pushing House Speaker Adrian Jones and Senate President Bill Ferguson for answers in the crime crisis. More on that coming up at 10:30. Our other big breaking news tonight, a somber night across the region, if not the country, in Major League Baseball, as Orioles Hall of Famer Brooks Robinson has died.
That's right. Morgan Adsit joins us as the community remembers one of the greatest to ever wear an Orioles uniform. Morgan.
Hey, guys. Yeah, truly one of the greatest Orioles of all time. The best third baseman to ever play the game. Brooks Robinson, an icon in our community and across Major League Baseball, has died. He was 86. And what made Robinson even larger than life, the man he was off the field, just an incredible person who Birdland will miss. Robinson came to the Orioles from Little Rock, Arkansas in 1955 when he was 18. Robinson played all 23 years with the Orioles, retired after the 1977 season, but never left even to his dying day, was a special advisor and community ambassador for the O's. An 18-time All-Star, won 16 consecutive Gold Gloves, AL MVP in 1964, two-time World Series champion, and one World Series MVP in 1970. Elected to the Hall of Fame in 1983 on the first ballot. Fellow Hall of Famer Cal Ripken Jr. released a statement. It reads in part, "The memories we all share of Brooks will live on. My thoughts are with Connie and the Robinson family," that's his wife. "We lost a great man, but we're so fortunate to have had him in our lives," end quotes. The Orioles getting one tonight for number 5. They beat the Nats 1-0. Their magic number is now down to 2. They can clinch their first AL East title in nearly a decade tomorrow with the win. Manager Brandon Hyde even said he knows Brooks Robinson was watching them all season long, even with his health and decline.
Morgan, thank you. Brooks was definitely a special guy. Reaction pouring it across social media right now. Looking at some of the tweets coming over here. Was awoken to many texts about the passing of the great Brooks Robinson. Never have I met a human like Mr. Brooks. The next one looking here, that was from Adam Jones, by the way, former Oriole himself. Today is an incredibly sad day for Baltimore. This again coming in from Cal Ripken and baseball fans everywhere. Brooks was Mr. Oriole. He was a beloved and rightfully so. His historic career on the field pales to the impact he's made on so many of us. From Cal Ripken Jr. And this from Eric Himmelheber. 50 years from now, I'll be just 3 inches the type in a record book. Brooks, 1963. We'll follow all these breaking stories in the coming days. Go to foxbaltimore.com and use the WBFF app.
And around here, an unseasonably cool day once again. A string of 60s, and today the coolest of several of those days. Today's high 63 should be at 76, and I think we may do it all over again with the cool temperatures tomorrow. Starting off clammy with temperatures in the 50s, some drizzle, maybe a patch or two of fog. I'm going to let you know when we could warm up, maybe even hit the 80s once again. Yes, 80s are in my forecast. That's in my weather authority forecast in a couple of minutes.
Jonathan, thank you. Coming up on Fox 45 News at 10, the reward for information in Rachel Morin's murder doubles. Why her family hopes it will bring police closer to the killer as investigators continue to strike out on potential leads. Alarming numbers show low math and reading test scores in Baltimore City. But what about Baltimore County? Fox 45 News presses the new school superintendent on how the Kerwin plan is impacting her job. And more tributes to Orioles legend Brooks Robinson. Ahead at 10:30, a man who called Brooks a co-worker for more than a decade reflects on his career both on and off the field.
It's been nearly 2 months since the murder of Rachel Morin on the Ma Trail in Harford County. The reward for information that leads to an arrest has doubled up to $20,000.
And as Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor explains, Morin's family is hopeful the increased reward will generate some new leads while investigators continue to find dead ends.
It was actually really difficult just last week.
For the father of Rachel Morin's oldest child, each day her killer isn't caught, becoming increasingly harder to bear.
It was just getting to be a little bit too much. And I was starting to lose a little bit of hope.
But now, nearly 2 months since the mother of five's walk along a well-traveled trail ended in tragedy, a widespread media campaign attracting at least 81,000 views, spurring new clues from near and far.
We got a lead this morning. We're hopeful. It had a lot of great information in it. It included both pictures as well as a name.
As that tip and many others are passed on to investigators, the law firm representing the Morin family also raising the reward for any information leading to an arrest from $10,000 to $20,000.
It's to incentivize somebody to come forward that maybe before didn't feel like it was maybe worth it to them.
To date, the most significant breakthrough in the case, DNA evidence linking the suspect to a home invasion in Los Angeles, California, during which a young girl allegedly assaulted. But surveillance footage from the break-in creating some confusion, with many skeptical of this arm appearing to calmly escort the suspect out.
I do agree with the public. That's not the way any of us in our mind, I think, expect him to be exiting that residence.
According to Harford County Sheriff Jeffrey Gaylor, that's why he flew investigators across the country to question the man behind the door in person.
They believe they're getting a sincere story, that the person closing the door and the victim in that assault did not know that suspect that's seen on that camera.
From there, a trip to Chicago facing another disappointing dead end.
It was just to interview someone who we hoped would be able to maybe point us in the direction of who that suspect is. And that also didn't prove to give us fruitful results.
Both Gaylor and the family now relying heavily on sharing images and footage from this surveillance video.
I do feel that we're getting closer.
Hoping someone who knows the suspect will say something.
In Rachel's homicide, he showed an absolute disregard for human life.
Before the killer can strike again.
There's no doubt in my mind, if he's not captured, he's going to do it again.
Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
All but 2 names in the Baltimore Archdiocese sex abuse report have been released. This comes a month after a judge ordered an unredacted version of the report to be released. The initial report detailed the abuse of more than 600 children by more than 100 clergy, teachers, and other church employees. However, many of the abusers were not named in the first report. You can find a link to the unredacted report, an updated report, right now at foxbaltimore.com. Still ahead, continuing coverage of the manhunt for the man accused of brutally beating a 26-year-old woman to death in her apartment building. The strong message for the suspect from Baltimore police.
And temperatures a full 13 degrees below average today. And guess what? It looks like tomorrow another day spent in the 60s. So here's what you're going to need. Maybe an umbrella in the morning with some patchy drizzle, a light jacket, and some long sleeves too. Hopefully some of that does clear out by the time we get to the O's game number 2 against the Nats tomorrow at 6:35. I'm going to let you know how long we're going to stick with the cool and clammy weather. And there is some relief in the forecast in a couple of minutes.
And a live look at our Towson Cam in Baltimore County tonight as we head to break. A nice night in Baltimore, and we're expecting, as Jonathan mentioned, a bit of a warm-up.
Baltimore County is making a large investment in education this year. Public School Superintendent Dr. Miriam Rogers says the system is facing a budget shortfall, though, and Kerwin is making things even more challenging this year.
This after Project Baltimore report earlier this year, which found just 8% of 8th graders in Baltimore County schools tested proficient on their state math exam. We asked Rogers how she plans to ensure accountability with more spending on the horizon.
This FY25 coming up is the smallest percentage of blueprint funding that school systems are going to receive. But when you look at the expectations for implementation, they continue to move forward. So that is a piece of the challenge. For us, we're going to expand pre-K access in our schools. That is critically important to us. What we know that we need to do to move forward is to make sure that we have high quality curriculum, which thanks to the new contract, we have an ELA science base, and we procured in mathematics a few years ago, but it was during the pandemic for implementation. So we need strong implementation.
In Baltimore City, school leaders said they were expecting an additional roughly $12 million to go toward funding for schools, but the funding formula actually called for an additional $79 million. Our Project Baltimore team has done extensive reporting on the issues facing Maryland schools. You can find their full reporting on our website, foxbaltimore.com, and you can watch Project Baltimore every Monday and Wednesday at 10:15.
If we stop targeting regular citizens and go after bad people, then we will start to see a change in the crime fight.
A new law limits where legal gun owners can bring their firearms and will take effect in days. Why some police leaders say that comes with some unintended consequences.
And we continue to follow the breaking news as the sports world mourns the death of Orioles legend Brooks Robinson. We'll hear from somebody who worked closely with him about his legacy in Baltimore. We are following two major breaking stories tonight. A manhunt is on right now in Baltimore to find the suspect police say killed Baltimore Tech CEO Pavel Lapierre. Police say the suspect, 32-year-old Jason Billingsley, is armed and dangerous.
Sports fans in Baltimore and around the country are mourning the loss of an Orioles icon, Brooks Robinson. He was 86 years old.
And we begin with Brooks Robinson. He signed with the team in 1955 as a free agent. He went on to play for the team for 23 years and won World Series games in 1966 and 1970. He was the MVP in the second World Series.
That's right. And he retired in 1977 and went on to a broadcasting career. Greg Massoni worked with Robinson broadcasting games for 12 years. He joins us now live. Greg, Brooks Robinson was a legend on the field. What was it like to work with him? And again, our condolences to family and close friends like you.
Absolute condolences to Connie and their 4 kids. I was honored. You know, he was my boyhood hero, and I was blessed to be able to work with him for a number of years. And just a wonderful opportunity. Was a great guy. We would walk through the airport. People would ask for his autograph. You know, everybody has a baseball signed by Brooks, and he would drop his bags and gladly sign an autograph, talk with them. He never, ever missed an opportunity to talk to people. And people would say, Brooks, we named our kid after you. And he'd walk with me and say, Gregory, can you believe they named their kid after me? And I was like, yeah, of course. Who wouldn't? He was the greatest of all time.
He was so humble, Greg. He was just the most humble guy. I remember I emceed an event that he was at, and he came into the room and he introduced himself to everybody, and we're like, yeah, we know who you are. But that's the kind of guy he was. What will you remember most about him?
Just how sincere he was as a person, and what a sense of humor he had. When he worked with Chuck Thompson in the booth, and he would call him Charlie, and Chuck say, you know, my name's Chuck Thompson, not Charlie. Oh, I'm sorry, Charlie. He had a good time with that. Or Jim, he would eat food in between innings, and Jim Palmer would say, you know, Brooksy, you're not going to keep a nice figure if you keep eating like that. And he'd say, Jimmy, I don't have to pose in my underwear in front of people, because of course Palmer had the underwear thing. But he was a great person. And, you know, Baltimore is so blessed to have so many great superstars that made Baltimore their home. And, you know, I think of Johnny Unitas and Jim Palmer, of course, and Cal Ripken and Ray Lewis, and of course Brooks Robinson. And he was just a legend, and everybody knew it but him.
Yeah. Hey, Grant, I know it's tough. When I think to this iconic picture of him jumping up in that 66 World Series, we'll never forget that. In this day of big contracts, where did he stand? I mean, some of the Colts guys in the offseason, in the early days, those guys went and worked regular jobs until football season came back
they all did. It was a different
now,
era, and they loved the game, right? You know, so they played the game not necessarily for the money, and Brooks was certainly that way. And that's kind of my point. You know, he made Baltimore. He chose to make Baltimore his home, and we were just blessed to have him. And what a great guy, would show up everywhere. And, you know, I was just looking at a package that Scott Livingston shot when he was a photographer. And the story is, you know, about a guy who just couldn't wait to play in a game with Brooks Robinson. He just was a hero to everybody. And again, he was the only guy in town that didn't know it, that he was everybody's hero.
Exactly. Greg Massoni.
It's a great way to put it.
Thank you so much for speaking with us. I know it's emotional, and our condolences to you, good friends of his and his family as well.
We loved him, and we love you guys.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks.
Back at you. Well, you can find more on Brooks Robinson on our website, foxbaltimore.com.
And back to some breaking news right now. Fox 45 News following a large police presence on Brookville Road in Baltimore County. It's not clear right now what's going on there, but it comes as police are searching for the man they say killed a 26-year-old tech executive in her Baltimore City apartment building. We reached out to police to find out more. We have crews on the way to this scene in Baltimore County. Again, a large police presence. That's some video from Citizen app. We'll bring you updates both on air and online as we learn more. Well, police are calling the suspect who killed Pavel Lepere armed and dangerous.
This individual will kill and he will rape. He will do anything he can to cause harm. So please be aware of your surroundings.
Jason Billingsley is accused of killing 26-year-old Pavel Lepere. As I said, she is the CEO of the tech company Echo Map. She founded it while a student at Johns Hopkins University. She was featured on Forbes' 30 Under 30 list. Police say Lepere was found dead in her apartment building with blunt force trauma. It is not clear when she was attacked. Now take a look at your screen. This is the suspect, 32-year-old Jason Billingsley. Again, police say he is armed and dangerous. Authorities say he is a violent repeat offender. He has been arrested multiple times for several charges, including a sex offense, second-degree assault, and robbery. Police believe he's connected to at least one other recent crime and is still in Baltimore. If you see him, you should not approach him. You should call 911.
Lawmakers have had a few chances to crack down on repeat violent offenders. Governor Larry Hogan pushed the Violent Firearms Offender Act the last few years, which would crack down on repeat offenders. That bill failed in the General Assembly 3 years in a row. During the last legislative session, it didn't make it out of committee. Lawmakers did pass Senate Bill 1, which cracks down on legal gun owners. The new law takes effect in a few days. That will limit where people with a wear and carry permit in Maryland can bring their firearm. Fox 45's Jeff Abel joins us with a closer look at what's set to change on October 1st, and there's a lot of controversy over this bill. Jeff.
That's right. In just 5 days, those who are already approved to carry a handgun will be severely limited on where they can carry those guns.
Already, Maryland gun owners face some of the strictest laws in the country, especially those seeking the right to carry a gun. But despite rigid screenings and instructions, many owners are determined to earn a permit to carry a gun.
I like the idea of being able to protect me and those I care about.
But soon, gun owners will be limited in where they can protect their loved ones. This spring, the governor signed SB 1, a new law which takes effect in 5 days and prohibits a person from knowingly wearing, carrying, or transporting a firearm in certain locations. And those locations are plentiful: museums, shopping centers, most any public place. The new law requires an express agreement between the parties before owners can enter with their gun.
It includes schools, it includes playgrounds, it includes preschools. It includes sensitive places like where people register to vote, where people go to vote, hospitals, libraries. It allows private property owners to control their private property. It allows governments to protect historically sensitive places.
This was a mistake. Today, those representing Maryland police officers predict the law, which restricts where guns can be carried, will have unintended consequences.
You can pump gas on the parking lot of a gas station, but to go in and pay is now a violation. If there's anything going on, there's no way to take action right then and there without running back to your vehicle in seconds sometimes.
The fact that you have to look at every business that you may encounter during your day to make sure that you're in compliance with the law.
Dave Foldenauer and Clyde Boatwright, who are leaders with the Fraternal Order of Police, are fighting the law, critical because it targets legal gun owners and not the illegal ones.
If we stop targeting regular citizens and go after bad people, then we will start to see a change in the crime fight.
This was a mistake, and instead of holding a special session and fixing this, they're just letting this go forward, and there's going to be, again, unintended consequences.
There are already plenty of challenges working their way through the courts right now, but as it stands now, the law will hit the books on October 1st. Jeff Abel, Fox 45 News.
Jeff, thank you. Well, a lawsuit against Senate Bill 1 is working its way through the legal system right now. The NRA filed the suit on the same day the governor signed it into law. Republicans, some legal experts, and even some Democrats say the law is unconstitutional.
It's an illegal bill.
Confusion relating to the zoning aspects of this bill, from a common sense perspective, it almost rises above the Constitution.
We're doing things kind of backwards, and I do think that it has constitutional issues.
Governor Wes Moore stands by the law, saying he believes it will hold up in court. Fox 45 News will continue to follow the legal battle over the law and keep you updated on any new developments. An update now to a story we broke last night. The 15-year-old killed near Gilmore Elementary School has been identified as Rashid Maxwell. Police say he was shot multiple times yesterday afternoon. Again, he was only 15. He died at the hospital. He is the 14th young person killed in Baltimore this year. No word on any suspects.
Fox 45 News has seen more young people fall victim to violent crime. We've also seen a number of young people accused of violent crime. Law enforcement leaders across the state have been calling for change to the state's juvenile justice laws. Some take issue with the Juvenile Justice Act, Reform Act, which prevents children younger than 13 from being charged with most crimes, and the Juvenile Interrogation Protection Act, which states police can't question young people without an attorney or parent present.
Kids get out of the car, and the minute you stop them and you pull them aside, the first thing they say to you is, "Are you going to call my mother?" Because they know they're not. They know they're underage, and they know they can't get in trouble.
You know, I've been out on patrol many a times, and I've gotten the same reaction from juveniles over and over again, which is, "Well, I'm a juvenile. You can't do anything."
A mistake was made. Go back immediately, look at the legislation, and let's correct it. We'll work with you to correct it.
We have this barrier up that we can't speak. I mean, and that could mean someone's safety.
Despite those calls for change, Maryland House Speaker Adrian Jones and Senate President Bill Ferguson seemed non-committal about changing the juvenile justice laws when Fox 45 News pressed them about it last week.
It feels like there's not a lot of urgency happening. Why is the General Assembly not moving quicker to get a handle on this before more people's lives are impacted by this?
Look, I push back to say that there's not urgency. It's something that I'm talking about with other members and my community every single day. It's probably the thing that keeps me up the most at night.
Should there be a special session to address the juvenile crime crisis right now?
This is something I will be discussing with my chairs. I don't want to be in the media and saying, "Oh, Speaker didn't talk to us." We're going to be having meetings.
House Speaker Jones and Senate President Ferguson are two of the most powerful lawmakers in Annapolis. If you want to talk with them about juvenile justice laws, we have their phone numbers and email addresses on your screen. You can also find their contact information on our website, foxbaltimore.com. The Baltimore City State's Attorney's Office is launching a new effort to support older adults in the city. Ivan Bates unveiling his Older and Disabled Persons Unit at a luncheon today. The new unit will focus on protecting those 60 and older. Bates says the unit will track cybercrime, physical abuse, and financial exploitation of older people.
What we're finding is that older adults sometimes are victimized by their own loved ones. The loved ones sometimes will steal their money. Older adults sometimes will give power attorneys to loved ones, and the power attorneys are being used to steal their money and not take care of them. We want to give a safe environment to deal with the trauma that they're dealing with so they can enjoy their last days or their days with dignity.
There's also a new hotline for older people to call if they believe they are a victim of crime. That number, 1-844-726-6378. For additional information on the program, visit foxbaltimore.com.
The second GOP debate is scheduled tomorrow night. 7 Republicans have qualified: Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, Tim Scott, Vivek Ramaswamy, Chris Christie, Mike Pence, and Doug Burgum. Former President Trump didn't participate. The debate begins at 9 o'clock. Chief political correspondent Scott Thuman will have live coverage tomorrow on Fox 45 News at 10.
Still ahead, some astonishing new figures about aid to Ukraine, why billions of dollars meant for war aren't going to fund Ukraine's military.
And the bus stop forecast for tomorrow, begins a lot like it's been starting the past few days. Overcast skies, a little bit of drizzle, jacket weather 55. But look, what's this? Some sunshine could break out tomorrow afternoon? Potentially. I'm going to let you know how long that could last and when we could have 70s and maybe even 80s.